Here with Turner Washington, 5-time national champion for the Sun Devils, Tucson Tornado. So many names, so many things. Very decorated. Definitely going to go down as someone who will maybe potentially be in the Sun Devil Hall of Fame one day. How have you processed it as you've kind of come along and, you just finished second and you won your 5th national title as well, this time in the discus. How are you processing the last few weeks?
I think it's one of those things you learn how to process the older and like the longer you're into the sport, to where it's like when I won that first championship, it's kind of like, oh, I am it. I am him. I'm going to go around campus and I'm going to talk to any girl I want, and that's going to be how it is. I'm the man. And then getting to this last one, and it's just like a completely different like insight of like what it all means, and where it's kind of like that, where I like always kind of alluded to throwing as being an art, where it's like you finally like you put it all together and created something. And then it's like now it's not just, it doesn't end there now. It's like that's just the first coat.
Yeah.
Like you did a good job with the first coat. Now it's adding and keep adding to it, to where then you're at the point where you can say you're in Alekna, where you're throwing 70 meters and you're able to go into the World Championships and get second as a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And that's it's just working towards creating something that's the best at what you can do, like best at what it can be.
We'll get into sort of like what's next for you throughout this too, but I want to touch on it because I heard you in the media scrum talk about it before. I mean, obviously you've had a lot of ups and downs. You retired last year and then came back. You touched on that early success. Have you learned to maybe not define yourself by your success? I think in sports, this happens in business, it happens in a lot of avenues in life where we tend to define ourselves by our success, and that's who we are, whether we fail or succeed. Have you maybe learned that lesson of like, hey, me being a national championship doesn't make me any better or worse. Me losing doesn't make me any better or worse.
No, exactly. And I would say it's just kind of you learn as you go, and that just thinking like, yeah, I'm the best right now, and then it's like there's highs and there's lows. And that's the thing, is like with this sport, you can be the man, you can be super hot, and then it's just like one little thing goes wrong, and then it's just back at the bottom, and it's just, and then you're working to get to the top again, and it's just vicious. But then you learn that if this is what's going on with just my job, then this is something that everyone else has experienced too, where it's like the highs are the highs, and it's great. But the thing is, what I learned with like the first 4 championships was that high got shorter with each time. Is it that high got shorter, and you were like, I need more, to where now it's like this kind of feeling of like an inner peace where I'm like, this is what it is. It's not anything more, it's not anything less, it's just what it is. To where it's too, at the end of the day, I'm like, am I happy with where I am at if something were to happen? And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with where I'm at. And I think that kind of mindset, that sort of peace with the sport, allows you to compete just in a free way. And that's like that free bird post, that's just what it's about, just being free.
It allows you to be free, have fun, enjoy the moment for what it is. I think that's what I've understood is, happiness is just enjoy the moment for what it is. Sure, I'm sure you spent countless hours growing up in college dreaming about national championships and, with your next steps now, dreaming about the Olympics potentially, but you're kind of learning to just enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process, for sure, just being in the moment. And that's something that Ryan Whiting, my coach here, he's really just kind of helped me get into with. It's like the breathing and just being more mindful of everything and just being appreciative of the moment. And I think too, going into that last national championship, it's not just another meet. It's not just another NCAA championship. I'm like, this is the last one, and it's kind of like, what impact on the sport? Like, what will you be remembered for? And that's kind of like going into that last throw is kind of like what was in the back of my head. And that is the thing is with Arizona State, where our throws program, if you look at like how many championships we've won, and like the small periods, gaps in years where we didn't have someone winning a throws event, I think there's like a 3-year period from 2006 to now, and I was like, that's not going to end on me, So it's kind of like there's that in the back of your head too. So there's a lot that goes into creating that moment.
Yeah. What will Turner Washington be remembered for here at ASU? Because your career's not done.
I think Turner Washington as an ASU athlete will be remembered for like being able to get hot when it mattered. Whereas the 2021 season managed to get second in the shot put at 265, detached from the sport. you know. And I was like, that's like, he didn't win, but he got hot. And then to where with the shot, it was like he got hot when it mattered, and then the discus, like when it mattered. And I think that's kind of with the NCAA record I broke. That was a 6-round throw too, and it's like that's that feeling. I think that you have to go through stuff for it to like matter and like actually have like an impact and be special. We're going back to a previous question where that first one wasn't special to me. It was just kind of like next one, you know, let's pour some, and it's just the next one. And then to this one where I'm like, I cherish this one. I know what it took to get there. And it's like when I'm 30 years from now, when I look at it, I'll know like you have that in you to do that.
And that's the growth too. I think what people don't realize when you have dreams, you have success, you get there, a lot of times it's always like, cool, next, I want the next one. Especially when you achieve it in college or in sports as a rookie or as a freshman. You're like, okay, cool, I got there, next. Whereas maybe there's a different appreciation in your final year, or in professional sports, if someone wins a title when they're 39 in their final year and it's their first one, there's a little more appreciation. So you kind of got to see it as someone who got to experience it on both sides now and just see that growth.
Yeah, no, definitely. And to be able to see that growth of just my own like ability to grow and change and learn, it's just, I think it gives you the confidence to, hey, like I can go into real life, like I can get a job and do other things because I have this character that the sport instilled into me.
Real life, I heard you mention it in the media scrum. So the Olympics are something that you are going to be training for, correct? Yeah,
potentially, yeah.
So along the way, so you mentioned you are going to have to work a full-time job. That's the reality of that space. I know you majored in sports law and business. I only know this next part I'm going to say because I have a roommate that works there, but you interned with the Coyotes this year, right?
No, I had an internship there.
So what have you learned in that space, and is that something that you're going to try to continue to work in this next phase of life?
No, that working for the Coyotes was an amazing experience, and it started finally clicking where like track and field, it's like you're making your money, of course, on your prize money, but also like what do you have on your chest? Like what's on your Instagram, what's on that stuff, and it's sponsorships, and it's learning. It's like now it's like we're over there. They're selling space in the stadium, other assets where it's like, I got to sell myself. Like, what assets do I have to sell, and how can I do that? And like, what's the approach that needs to be taken? So just being able to learn that and have that skill set that I can take from that experience and work it into being an athlete, which will long term help my career. So that was just an amazing experience, and that was also going back to being like, just a normal, not an athlete, you know. Not only like athletes are just like, but just not an athlete. And that I never saw myself in that kind of role, but to be able to be like, oh, I can do this as well. I can still throw, because that was a major thing. Is like, can I be working and can I still throw? And granted, shout out to Nick Salute, my boss. This guy, like, he was so just let me learn, but also recognize that like I have other obligations too, and that's like I couldn't ask for a better boss.
So that specific field, that's more like corporate partnerships, things like that you're learning. So obviously you mentioned helping your brand. Is that also something you want to work in while you're like achieving your dreams of trying to reach the Olympics, like in a career field for now, or is that for after?
I would say that's for after. Right now, kind of like going throwing, I just really want to honestly work the bare minimum and just really be able to focus on throwing, because I think that if I just have that time to really just put into training and throwing, that it's like anything I can, a medal opportunity. I firmly believe, but it's just also at the same time, it's like where I do have a girlfriend and I do have other responsibilities. I want to marry her. I want to build a life. At the same time, it's like, what's more important? Too, kind of. It's like, I want to do these things. Can I manage them? Can I both do it? But it's difficult. It's a difficult decision of kind of which way you go.
It's a tough thing with anything. You put all your eggs in one basket, and if you're solely focused on just the Olympics, and you never know, injury happens, something life-changing happens, and if you started shunning your relationships and your other aspirations, all of a sudden now you can feel kind of hollow. So you seem like you have that appreciation of, yes, I want to do this. This is like one of my biggest goals,
Yeah.
but also I'm making sure I'm taking care
Making
of
sure
the rest of Turner
yeah,
Washington.
making sure of taking care of the rest of Turner Washington, having like everything else in line, and that like still being the person that I want to be. Because that's the thing is like other year, like when I really get into this like that mindset, it is kind of detaching from everything, and that's how I would say like going into championships. It's this feeling of like I felt like I can't even have a conversation with people because I'm just detached from the real world, just so in my head thinking about what it is I need to do. And then it's like now it's learning as I've thrown longer, it's learning how to do that in a shorter window. Like I don't need to do that from February to May,
Right.
you know? And it's just, yeah, it's that growth process.
I just got a couple more things for you. Next steps as you try to qualify for the Olympics, what does that look like? Like, what are the steps that you know that you have to take now?
So it would start with hitting the Olympic standard, the A standard, because if you have that A standard, then it's just coming top 3 in your country. And I was like the World Championships this year. It's like kind of that stepping stone. Do well at that, get funding, and be able to afford to be in the sport. And then so that's a major step is just being able to secure funding. And then going into that training, it's hitting that standard, and then getting top 3 at the U.S. champion or the Olympic trials championships. And
Yeah. Last thing, I know you might not have too much time to reflect yet, but as you reflect on your Sun Devil career, what stands out to you the most as we're looking over at the track and just kind of maybe you're seeing some things that you experienced?
Yeah, I would say just it was a great time. It was like it had its highs and it had its lows. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't change a damn thing about it. It was perfect in my head.
Thank you so much, Turner. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.